Dude, why are we so small?
What is this? Games you should know for ants?
We have to be at least 3 times this size. Oh, what?
Uh-oh.
What is
Oh,
this?
jeez.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Ah!
Is it humid in here?
Ah!
Okay, that's enough.
I heard Jurassic Park was a movie in the 90s.
So Jurassic Park was a movie, you may recall it, from the early 90s. It was a hell of a good movie. There's a ton of different Jurassic Park games out there, so we're looking at the NES, Game Boy, and SNES Jurassic Park from Ocean Software.
So without any further ado, here's Jurassic Park. Games you should know. Take it away.
That's pretty good. That was good.
All aggression. Oh, look at those dino dance moves, though.
Dynamite.
Alright, so what even happens in this game, you guys? What's going on here? This is the NES version, for those who don't know. So, let's talk about what's common first across, like, the Game Boy, NES, and SNES versions. You collect eggs, you...
Shoot Jurassic Park
shoot
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs, and you...
Collect key cards and access
collect key
terminals.
cards, access terminals. And ultimately, what are you trying to do? You're trying to, like, save some people and escape, right?
Pretty good graphics for an NES version.
Very good graphics, very good color scheme,
Good music.
good
Came out in
tunes.
1993, so definitely late on the NES. The NES was basically done at that point. The game kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a very difficult game. I mean, the controls are wonky. The shooting is definitely not very... The hitboxes aren't, like, you know, completely
tight.
accurate.
It's tight.
It's tight. You really gotta hit those dinies. Those little dinies.
It's easy to miss these dinosaurs, especially those little ones.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a piss off for me, because, like, I don't know, some of the bigger dinosaurs in the game are, like, easier to kill.
True. Very true.
And are less threatening than these little ankle biter pieces of
Games you should know.
I guess one thing that's pretty specific to the NES version is that it's 2-player, though, right?
It's the
Well,
Dead for Dead.
Dead
Yeah,
for Dead.
it's like Dead for Dead, but it's a weird kind of Dead for Dead because player 2 is gonna respawn right where player 1 died.
So it's like a cooperative kind of game at the same time.
Mhm.
If you die, you have to restart the entire level right from the get-go, right from the entrance. You gotta recollect all the eggs, so that's definitely, you know, I could see myself getting quite upset with this game fairly easily.
In fact, I think you did. Well,
In fact,
early.
yeah.
Most movie-based video games are just absolute trash because they just try to follow the movie like way too hard, or they just don't follow at all. I think Jurassic Park does a pretty good job of being like a game,
Yeah, definitely, like, it's
like with that transition.
100%.
And with that, let's hit the Game Boy version. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
One thing I'm going to point out is this facts right here off the Game Boy, which is impressive. They did not have these facts on the NES version.
T-Rex.
The most famous predator, as you can see, he's deadly.
Deadly AF.
Game Boy games. Usually pretty rough around the edges, eh?
Yeah.
And so what you saw there was basically just a printout of, hey, this is what you gotta do in the entire game. Which is great, because usually NES games, Game Boy games, they just drop you off in the middle of nowhere, give you no explanation of what's going on. And you have to read something called an instruction booklet or something. But who have ever read the instruction booklet? You could see it looks pretty familiar as to what we were just looking at 1 second ago. Like, the map is basically the same.
Even the map design, yeah.
Eggs are just like in the same locations. Basically, everything is the exact same. You got a health bar, you got your lives, you got your ammo. Game Boy version, you get that little portable version.
Yep, and that's why I liked it. You know, I was a big fan of this game. I played it a lot when I was a kid. My cousins owned this game, so I remember playing it quite a bit. The tunes you can hear, very similar tune. I think it actually might be the exact same tune.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's as long of a loop or not, but it's definitely the same beat, same go. I really like it.
Pretty much the same thing as the NES version. Actually, I kind of like it better because of that portability, and it's just so simple, and it's a fun game to have as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to pit this up against other Game Boy games, I think it stacks up like pretty huge.
For sure.
When you look at other NES ports onto the Game Boy, I think you notice like a dramatic reduction in graphics, sound, playability, but this is just so on point.
So we'll head on to the SNES version here, one of Curtis's favorite games.
Oh, this game. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Another great game by Ocean. My boy Curtis here is going to introduce you to one of his favorite SNES games.
So, this is Jurassic Park for the SNES. It's very similar to the Game Boy and the NES versions. There's some key differences of which you'll see. The main difference is a very confusing gameplay. Yeah, very painful. So here's a very marked difference between the NES and the Game Boy games and the SNES games. What you just saw there was a first-person view, very similar to like a Doom or Wolfenstein from the PC. It didn't really work out too well. It was very clunky. It was very laggy. It was hard to aim. In my opinion, just did not work. And the field of view was very small. But the top-down view of this game was good. The colors are there, the different textures, updated for the SNES for sure.
Man, I don't even know what they're thinking with this. These orange signs popping up, blocking half the screen. It's just stupid.
They just tried to do like a bit too much, and it didn't quite work. The environments are a bit more interactive in the Super Nintendo version. I mean, you have these rocks that fall down on you. You have to like hit buttons that like open bridges, and there's definitely some more interactivity, I guess, with the environments. Is that enough to redeem this game?
Nope, I don't think so.
I mean,
it's junky. It's definitely a flop in my opinion. I will say that I do love the classic elevator tunes. That's about the only thing I like about this game.
I was gonna say these elevator tunes though.
Let's turn up the beats. Ding. I think we're gonna do a quick recap of the three games.
Rate them in order from best to worst.
And then let you know if any one of them is actually even a game you should know.
We played 3 different Jurassic Parks for the Nintendo, all by Ocean. I think we can all agree that the Super Nintendo version was definitely the worst of these 3 games that we showed today. There's a lot of additions that just made it really bad, really unplayable even. What do we think is second place here, folks?
I think the NES version came in second place.
Second place?
Second place?
I agree. I agree. I'd say NES version, still a great game.
Probably one of the best NES games that you
It's
can
actually
probably
pretty
play.
damn good, for sure. It's a lot of fun. Is it a game? You should know.
I'd say you could give it a pass. There are other games that are that have come out in the early 90s that are a little bit better than Jurassic Park, than the 3 of these Jurassic Parks. But if you're a hardcore fan, diehard fan of dinosaurs, and you really love Jurassic Park, I'd say give it a go.
Yeah, for sure. Coming in first here, definitely a game you should know is the Game Boy version of Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. Awesome game. Handheld. You got the same kind of tunes going. It's just a good feeling, especially when you're a little kid growing up, for sure. So thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Games You Should Know.
Raptors, you should know.
Cavaliers, you should know.
I don't even like basketball.
Games you should know.